I think he sounded almost angry to a point when he was talking to Dave Archer after the Jets game last week. And, of course, Beau gets to stand there and kind of listen to all these. This one, I didn't know what to make of Raheem in his answers to Dave Archer. He seems like he's kind of out of answers, to be frank. And I think that's unfortunate. I think the one thing that you do as a head coach when you get an opportunity like this is you pull out all the best tricks, right? Everything you've got in the repertoire, everything you've got in the bag, you go and say, hey, we're going to do it at this level. I'm going to have this energy every single day. If this happens, this will be my answer. If this happens, this will be my answer. This is how I'll approach this. This is how I'll approach that. I'll put this team together. And the bad part about that is when it fails, you've used every trick in the book you have that's already your best foot forward. So what do you fall back on if you're Raheem? The second best trick, the third, start calling mentors, start asking assistant coaches. You know what I mean? Like, you've already utilized everything you know how to do in that situation. And I can tell that that's the point Raheem is at, where he's like, what I'm doing and every trick I've learned from Sean McVay or whoever else his mentors are in this business and the people he came up with, Dan Quinn, every trick I have is not working. And he's just running out of things to kind of look toward and say, well, we'll try this, we'll try that, we'll try that. That's what I heard in his voice. And I know that's reading a lot into that, but I can tell a lot by how Raheem reacts to some of the questions that Dave asked, how he feels. And that's just, I feel like that's the point he was at yesterday, where it was like, yeah, man, we just got to put one foot in front of the other and just keep going and try to limp to the finish line here, because I don't know what else to do. You can't just not show up to work, and we can't just stop coaching. But obviously the things you're trying to do right now ain't working.
Yeah, it's a very humbling experience when all the things you've always done and all the things that have always worked for you and don't work anymore. And, it's not like, for me, it's not like when I'm doing a project at home and I've done before, maybe at a different house or different place I lived, and I'm like, well, last time I did this, and all of a sudden it's not working, and I'm like, oh, I'll just go to YouTube.
I was going to say.
And watch the video.
Then you know what you do? You call in a professional.
Yeah.
You're going, hey, come fix this mess.
Yeah.
And he ain't got that option.
Yeah.
He is the professional.
And look, I mean, I think we all have experienced those crossroads in our careers.
For sure.
Problem is, when you're the guy that's supposed to have the answers, what do you do? And, I asked him Wednesday when I talked to him last Wednesday, and I was like, he talked about the effort they were putting in to fix the special teams. And I said, well, tell me what that looks like, because we're sitting here saying, well, what's that look like? You say that, but that doesn't mean anything. Well, we're fixing it. Well, when it doesn't look fixed, then you go back and say, well, what are they doing to fix it? And he talked a little bit about it. Obviously, the coaches are never going to tell you exactly what they're doing, because if they tell you that, whether you think you deserve to hear that or not, now they're giving away their secrets.
Yep.
And so people hear that. People listen to everything these days. Other teams listen to everything, podcasts, whatever. But it's like I go back to is it kept getting worse. Like, remember the Colts game, you gave up a kickoff to the 50, and then in the Jets game, you gave a kickoff to the 15-yard line. Well, yesterday you gave it up to the house, and it completely took the air out of the building, and you were right there at regaining that air in the building and everything, and then, Bijan fumbles it, and that's I think his second fumble of the year. That's it. That's pretty good for a running back that touches the ball as many times as he does. It's pretty good, but it still was the absolute worst timing ever, and that was the ball game.
Yeah.
Because they went right down the field and scored.
That was the end of it.
We are opening up our phone lines to you this morning, 404-726-0929. Let's go out to Mike in Atlanta. Mike, what you got for us this morning?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Hey, man.
I could sit there and say that everything falls upon Raheem Morris. Well, I think he's a very good defensive coordinator, not a great head coach. And you do have coaches that are like that. His record before he got hired, he had a losing record. But let's go above Raheem Morris. Let's go above Terry Fontenot. Let's look directly at the top and talk about Arthur Blank and Rich McKay. And I know a lot of people give me flack about this, but Rich McKay calls a lot of shots, and he's definitely in Arthur Blank's ear. I believe after the end of this year, or at the end of this season, that everyone needs to take a good look at from the top and work their way down. And what we need is a football-minded coach that is not afraid to get into the heads of the players. And I feel that Raheem Morris is more of a player's friend than he is a coach. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the phone call. Yeah. I would be lying to you guys if I sat here and talked to Mike and acted like I had all the answers to that situation. Now, the Arthur Blank thing, and I've been on the record for this, that's a pipe dream, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we doing? He's an owner, right? He has a committee of 10 people and a hiring pool of 15. If you think that Arthur Blank needs to do something, I don't know if you paid attention to any other owner in the NFL, right? There's owners that think they're GMs. There's owners that think there's head coaches. Well, I've said all the time, the Colts, the lady that's taking over for the Colts, that's going to be cool until it's not, right? Until all of a sudden things go south in Indianapolis and she's sitting there on the sideline taking notes. I don't have a problem if anybody doesn't like Arthur Blank or the role he's played, but it ain't changing. Like, that ain't going anywhere. And you know, I think Josh Blank, eventually that's going to be his, and I think he'll be great in the role. But what's going to change? What do you think is going to be done differently? He's going to listen to all the people around him. They hired outside firms and everything else that goes along with it. Now, if you want Rich McKay to be gone, fine. I don't think that's neither here or there. And if you want him out of the picture, great. But the bottom line is, it's an imperfect science, and we have somehow made it worse. I think that there are guys that are better coordinators than they are head coaches, and maybe Raheem does fit that. But I'd be lying if I sat here and said I had the answers from the top down. I don't know what the answer is, but Arthur Blank ain't going nowhere.
Arthur Blank's not going anywhere, and you know, the reason Rich McKay to me takes heat is because people can't put their finger on what's wrong, right. and because he's there, sits next to Arthur in games, and people know that they can't fire Arthur because he's the owner. Right. So they're like, well, it's Rich's fault.
Yeah, he's been the one constant in all of this, in this entire ownership tenure.
Yeah, pretty much. And so that's where he's. It's funny when people say owners shouldn't make decisions; they should allow people that know football to do it. But you're only okay with that until things don't work.
100%.
And then, is there a committee? Well, there's a committee because they're supposed to be football people. You know. The whole Belichick thing is like, well, yeah, everybody didn't want Belichick to protect themselves. I'll tell you something. The best thing ever was the fact that Bill Belichick is not here, because we've seen how that little bit is playing out.
And look, I think it's easy to look at Mike Macdonald and say, hey, wish we'd have hired Mike Macdonald. Sure, I don't think anybody in the city was screaming from the rooftops to go hire Mike Macdonald 2 years ago. I don't think that was the case. I think that it's easy to say that now. And I know a lot of people didn't like the Raheem Morris hire, and I think that's fair too. But
it's unfair though for me to say, well, if we just had that guy, we'd be winning.
Yeah, that's not true.
When literally the statement is, we need to clean house, which is what basically I hear when I hear the last call.
Yeah,
which is fine. Like I'm not judging you for your opinion. I'm just explaining where I go through with things. Is when I hear you say, we need to clean house. But then say, well, if we had Mike Macdonald, though, or if we had Jim Harbaugh,
yeah.
Well, what if you believe that we need to clean house? Then why do you think that guy would have worked here? And I'm not taking anything from Mike. I'm just saying, why do you think Mike Macdonald would have worked? Because he would yell at players? You don't know that Raheem does or doesn't yell at players. Just because I said it last week, and I'm not saying what I think he is, but just because the head coach says I like taking bullets for my team doesn't mean he's a soft head coach behind closed doors. It means he does things the way he feels the players will respond. Also not going to tell you it's working right now, because when you lose 37-9, something is not working.
100%.
So don't twist the words.
Yeah.
It's just, remember, it's not so simple as clean house and do it over, because we did that and it didn't work.